Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Nigeria Now, where we discuss everything concerning Nigeria, ranging from security, politics, education, health, and many other sectors or actually other parts of the country that we really feel is very important that we bring to the table this afternoon, so we can sit together and X-ray it together and see what we can do to provide solutions where there are problems, and then to see what we can also recommend so that the government can take it into action and also put things in order. I am Sarah Elisha Dasho. I'll be doing the program alongside Rachel Tansy. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Sarah.
All right, we have quite a number on our plate this afternoon. Please remember you can follow us live on Facebook and then drop your own comment and your view concerning some of the things we will be looking at this afternoon. Now, we will be starting with the student loan scheme. We will recall that part of the initiative or part of the policies that the president on arrival of office did was to actually put an act, so you can actually call it more like a document to see how you can make equal rights for every Nigerian to be able to participate and also have a table way of actually making sure everybody is learned in the country, because we cannot talk about development without talking about education. And we've seen that the president took it as a point of concern to say that, you know what, let us have an act where we'll have more like a student loan, where we'll have students being given interest, I think a free interest loan, more like it, so that you could actually get the loan, and then after a particular years, that's after your service, NYC. Then you get to pay. And we know that, that actually faced a number of criticism coming from people, a number of people saying we're not happy with this thing. What is the government making sure, what are they putting in place to make sure that after attaining this loan and even after the NYC, students have jobs? Because we saw that they say you have to have a civil servant that has been working at a particular grade level, and then if there's a lawyer that has been practicing for over 12 years or so. Now we're saying that after the back and forth, it was supposed to kick off in September. Nothing happened. January, nothing happened. February, nothing happened. And then we are in March, and we're seeing that the president is going to launch this scheme on Thursday. Now, a number of speculations coming from Nigeria. After all the postponements starting from September last year, how sure are we that this is not another just lip service? Because this was during an interview that was being done to one of his media aides, and then he made mention that by Thursday, the president will be launching this scheme. So that is to say that students will be able to have access to this. Now we're seeing that even on the papers, we're seeing that students that are schooling in diaspora are actually asking if they can be included in this. But we know that there are terms and conditions applied to this loan scheme. And so I really doubt students schooling abroad will actually benefit from this. But then my concern is how effective or how sure are we that by Thursday it will be launched? That's the first thing. Secondly, are we sure that all the people or the students that actually apply for this loan will be captured? Because we saw where the NAS came out to say that, they do not want ASU to be part of it. ASU saying no, it should be a grant, not a loan. And then back and forth, various analysts coming out to actually add their own view concerning this loan, whether it's going to be beneficial to students, and then how do they intend to recover back this loan. I think this was another concern that a number of people have raised, that it's one thing to give out this loan, but then how do you intend to actually recover this loan back, and so that other students will actually benefit from it as well?
So just as you said, one of the major concern, right, is how sure are we that come Thursday, this student loan scheme will really actually kickstart? Not paper kickstarting, not a speech, taking pictures, not that paparazzi kickstart like how we saw of the 25,000 award, where a few beneficiaries were just, paraded, they were given, and nobody has received it yet. How are we sure? Because I'm not expecting the announcement of it kickstarting Thursday to come from the president. Who are the committee that you set up to implement the student loan scheme? Secondly, when it comes to student loan, it should be an entirely different office on its own. Just as we have pension boards just as we have water boards, just as we have electricity distribution company, and just as we have the legal entities in the country, just as we have different offices created for certain things. Student loan, if you want it to be successful, needs an office. Who are the committee? What are their updates concerning what they have put in place? Okay? Because there should be a student loan office that is in charge of monitoring this student loan process, except if it is a short-term thing. But if it's a long-term thing, there needs to be an office for it. I would like to use pension. Just like how there's a pension board or an office that is able to keep tab of a civil servant saving, what he has been able to put for 35 years of service, how much this civil servant is going to be earning as pension, and after retirement, you make sure that for the next 10 years, this civil servant gets retired civil servant gets their pension consistently for that 10 years. You know that it needs an office, a well-established office with data, with information, with people that will grow by the ranks, because this is an information that will be kept for a long period of time. So it needs that kind of office to be set up. Has there been a student loan office for the Federation of Nigeria set up? So that is the question. These are some of the things I will look deeply into it. Is it just speech and it has been launched? Or are we going to see a well-structured student loan scheme that we know with this structure it cannot fail? We know that 10 years from now, 20 years from now, Nigerians will benefit from student loans. Because when it comes to student loan, it also gives room and platform for students to be able to access scholarship that will come from individuals, not even only government, because that is how student loan is intertwined with grants, scholarships, and all of that. So when you set up an office, some students by merit will be able to access scholarship that is not only coming from government, but individual. I can decide to say, okay, I am a philanthropist, I am a billionaire, I'm a millionaire based on merit, based on this. Through the Student Loan Office of Nigeria, I am giving this scholarship for students that will be able to access, and you will find few students being able to access it because it's open out there. So that's the question. And then secondly, I have nothing against those who are schooling abroad. And I know what I would like to say might look sentimental, but it's just coming from a very logical point of view. It's 50 billion that is the kickoff for these loans from the federal government. That's what has been assigned in the budget. Is there, nothing more, nothing less. And we are looking at how much an average degree, be it in whatever school, even if you're going to the cheapest school abroad. I'm looking at the US and the UK, which is where majority of our students, Nigerians are. And I believe that these are the ones clamoring for inclusion in this student loan. No matter how cheap the college or the varsity you are attending in abroad, be it the US or the UK, it barely goes below 10,000. There is none degree, depending on what you're studying, depending on your school, depending on your region, and this is plus scholarship. You will hardly find a decent education for less than 10,000 US dollar. It's not less than. There's none that is less than. That is for sure. It's above. I'm even using 10,000 as a benchmark. I haven't seen any that is at 10,000. We're looking at affordable ones starting from 15,000, 22,000, 30, 37, 40, 50, and even 60,000. And we have Nigerians in diaspora that is their tuition fee. Now change that to Naira, and we're looking at 50 billion as a startup. Only 2 or 10 will finish this 50 billion if they are to be granted that loan. Yes, only, let's be realistic, we'll finish it before any Nigerian will be able to have, before students, in Nigeria will be able to access it. So for the takeoff of this grant and loan, it will be insensitive to consider students in diaspora. Not for any reason, but what is being allocated to it so far in the 2024 budget. Maybe in future years, when we will have more than 50 billion, when we will have 500 billion allocated to student loan scheme, maybe then they can be considered. But with what has been given, allocated in the 2024 budget, it will be very insensitive to extend the inclusion beyond those schooling within Nigeria. And I believe that they should just chill, relax for now, those in diaspora. Let it function first within the country. Then before,
if they can actually be included in
exactly.
it. You know, Rachel, you really raised a very valid point, because remember when we were looking at the 2024 proposed budget then last year, we made this complaint, the fact that, I mean, how much is 50 billion naira? How many Nigerians are we looking at? Already, a number of Nigerians are clamoring the fact that let even private varsities not be included.
Yes.
We're only looking at people who are schooling in either the public varsities, college. We're seeing that even those who are actually seeking for skill development have been included, Rachel. So we're not just looking at those who are schooling. We're also looking at those who are looking at skill development as well. And how much is 50 billion naira? So just like you made mention, the fact that we need a valid office where accountability, track record can be kept. I mean, even after, if only this government is hoping that this is something that will last, then even after this administration is done, the next one can actually have something to work with. Because if you look at the time frame, definitely by the time some Nigerians will be done schooling, this administration will be done.
Yes.
So who is going to keep tab of the people
exactly.
who actually collected the loan, and then those who are meant to actually refund this money back? So we'll just keep our fingers crossed, and we hope that by Thursday we'll not be disappointed again by just a lip service, but then we'll see that this will kickstart. Now let's look at a story, or more like an issue that have been going on, talking about the alleged 3 trillion naira 2024 budget. Now, there have been a back and forth whether our 2024 budget was actually 25 trillion naira or 28.7 trillion naira. Now, I remember when we first had the proposed budget, then you and I made mention of the fact that we're looking at some of the things that are happening. There will be tendency that it will be increased. And I said that from the way I'm actually, in my own mind, I was actually putting an idea, let's just leave it at 30 trillion naira. Let's just know that it's a round figure. Now we're seeing that there seems to be a split in the House presently, because one of the northern senators came out to say that, you know what, 25 trillion naira was also presented to the House and they signed it, but 28.7 trillion naira is what the president is working with. Now remember that there was an increase based on some of the recurrent expenditures and some other things that make the money to add. Now they tend to be back and forth, and then most time Nigerians will come out to say there's no smoke without a fire. Now where's all of these allegations coming from? Why are we having a senator, somebody who is supposed to canvass for what is happening, coming out to say, now we're having other northern senators saying that, you know what, Ningi is talking on his own, we have nothing to do with what he's saying, this allegation he's having, we really do not know. And there was supposed to be a meeting yesterday, but then that was being put on hold, that they will be having the executive meeting today. So based on whatever the executive meeting will hold, they will be able to have a closed door meeting and then we'll come up. But while we're having this back and forth, Richard, I remember you and I were talking about the fact that if you even look at the recurrent expenditure, it's even higher than some of the things we need. So this back and forth, and then this split in the Senate, and then when we are hoping that they should sit down and face their front and look at things that are happening, we're having, going back to whether our 2024 budget is actually 28 trillion naira or 25 trillion naira. Now, these are things that can actually bring a lot of chaos, and actually, if it's not being managed well, we can see that this can go out of context, and then we see a number of things going as it should not be. When Nigeria is actually canvassing for increment in, we're talking about the NLC talking about increment of wage, we're talking about a number of things that should actually have, you know, we should have increase in that, and then here we're having this spill, or actually having a division in the House concerning whether our budget is 25 or 28 trillion naira.
Sela, like, I can't agree less with you that there can't be smoke without fire. However, I don't like this smoke because it feels like a false smoke. coming from Senator Abdul Eningi, because it's a good thing that you and I followed this budget from day one. We talked about it here from day one, ever since the proposed budget. And there was never a time 25 trillion was presented. The starting point was 26 trillion, if I can remember. And it was speculation of what could be the 2024 budget. But when eventually
we had the breakdown.
Exactly. When eventually President Tinubu presented the budget, we were looking at 27.5 trillion. We can remember this. It's not something that we can go and do a
very
flash.
far.
It wasn't exactly. We can have flashbacks and replay of how we discussed it and how these things kept on unfolding on the news and our papers. And then eventually, when the House of Assembly, when our lawmakers anyway were giving this, they came back with it. Plus, minus, added some things, one of which they added is their own, which we talked about and say, why are they having this amount of money, billion going to them for what and all of that. And it eventually came to 28.75 trillion naira as at a budget. Now, while this smoke feels too fake for me, it's because it's baseless. It just feels like another conspiracy without proof. I'm not saying that there can't be shady things, and perhaps President Tinubu presented 25 trillion and then the senator said it's 28. But either way, what is the proof? When you come out with such allegations, it shouldn't just be your word against their word, because you're the only one with this word opposite. What Nigerians saw, what we followed, what was being discussed by the senators, the breakdown we saw, these were the numbers. If there's any other thing, it's still a conspiracy. It's still not concrete. It's speculations and assumptions. Now, if Senator Ningi was to come out with papers, because this is where we talk about proof. It's just like how we keep having marketers, for example, and the NNPCL going back and forth. Marketers are saying there's still first subsidy removal, and the NNPCL are saying it's a lie, subsidy removal is gone. It will remain at that no matter what. It will remain assumptions, it will remain speculation until there's some proof. Until a marketer can come up with a document and say, aha, we found this document. This is what landing price for petrol came, and this is what NNPCL gave. And this paper, this document, this payment proves and shows that there is still subsidy. Until you have that proof, it's just your word against the word of who?
Of course.
And there's no, there's no basis and there's no ground for it. Now, this is the same thing that we are having here. It will stop at nothing more but a conspiracy, and that is what I don't like. That's the uncomfortable aspect of this whole thing. Will there be a need to look deeper into it? Yes, but still on what basis? On the basis that the senator came out and said, no, budget is 25, but National Assembly is saying it's 28, and there's a 3 trillion naira difference. It still feels like we are just playing around certain things, because you know what? In the end, this is how it is. Give or take, whether we like it or not, it will come out. And whether we like it or not, there will have to be funding for this budget. And then eventually, this is when there will be answers to, this was what you said. How did it become like this? And how did our deficit become like this? Because based on what you gave us as a budget, this is supposed to be our deficit, and this is supposed to be our income. And where did we come? This is only and when we will be able to say truly there was a padding, because now we have figures that are contradicting or outrageous estimate and all of, until we have some numbers, concrete proof to show that this is actually what is happening. It's just going to end as a speculation without any ground and basis. But yes, let there be more digging. Eventually, if something concrete should come out of it, fine. But it just still feels like a smoke that will not last for long, otherwise, until something else is being proven. And we hope that it doesn't become something that will now take the attention of what should be done in the country. We are seeing lawmakers talking about insecurity, and now they will start talking about budget.
For budget.
Are we not supposed to be done with that and then be facing the order of the day
And
in
be
the
thinking
country?
of how we want to pay our loan that we actually use because we are
Exactly,
running
Sarah,
on deficit.
exactly.
You're actually right, Rachel, because I mean, looking at this whole thing, I'm happy it's just an allegation. So just like we said, this will still go on that probe where he got this fact. You know, it was the same time where we had the senator coming out to say that, you know what, the budget Tinubu presented was empty. There was nothing in the back. It was still an interview that was being done in the BBC.
Yes.
So you tend to wonder, I mean, where do all of this accusation come from? Do you really, just like you said, you need to have facts, you need to have papers to actually prove that, you know what, all this while I'm not just talking, but these are evidence to actually back my point that, you know what, this is what it is. So just like you said, until we have facts, I mean, this senator will really have to do more than just talking to actually present his facts. Now, you already touched what we will hope to end the show with the fact that we're saying Reps is coming out to actually condemn the recent abduction we've been having. I mean, we saw it from our morning program where we have quite a number of over 400 Nigerians already in the dent of these kidnappers. Are we going to talk about the issue of the IDP where people were being kidnapped in Brno? Or are we going to talk about students who were being kidnapped in Kaduna? And then we're also having that of Sokoto. And it just tends to be so much when we're saying that a number of states, over 40 states, are already on like an alarm where a number of states feel that, you know what, students are no longer safe in school. And I just can't help to take my mind back to, well, we're going to talk about the issue of the Chibok girls or the Dapchi girls that till today we do not know the story of Leah. And then it tends to be as if we have even forgotten if Leah exists or not. And then we're still having the issue of, just in Kaduna, we also had the issue of the Baptist boys. That today, I'm not sure all the students return. And I remember you raising a concern, the fact that for every time we have unnumbered or we really do not have a particular number of people that are missing, we tend not to know how many are actually back to their loved ones. And I think this is really alarming. No wonder we're saying that the Reps is coming out to condemn this act. But you remember in the morning when we saw where the government is saying this is a coward act coming from them. And we made mention that it would be more cowardly of you if something is happening and you just condemn it with your lips and then you do not do anything. A number of times we've come out here on the show and even on other shows that are related to this where we made mention of the fact that we already see that these kidnappers, when they run out of options, they are no longer kidnapping prominent people. They have now resolved to attacking villages. They have now resolved to attacking poor students that are just there to actually have basic learning, to know how to read and write. We are now seeing that these are their target. What is the government doing to make sure that, you know what, let us have, how many schools do we have in every local government area? How many schools do we have in every state? Are we sure that all of the schools are registered with the education board? And if they are registered, how can we have security operatives making sure that, you know what, let these schools be protected? We have times where we see that either students are being abducted and then you hear they're just a mile or two away from a checkpoint, a mile or two away from a police station, and you tend to ask, how then were they able to kidnap this number of students without anybody knowing? And most time all of these things happen early hours of the morning where you're supposed to be up and about. You're supposed to be protecting citizens. So these are questions, and I think this is not just only an act that is being condemned by Reps, but this is an act that's being condemned by the entire Nigerians. And I remember where we said, until we are ready to take the bull by the horn, we'll just keep talking and talking and talking, and these people will be having a good day every day, making market, making money out of Nigeria. Why? Because our government are yet to do the right thing. Just like you always keep saying, they know what to do. But why do they fail to do what they are supposed to do? According to the Holy Bible, says, if you know what you're supposed to do and you don't do it, it's a sin. So I do not know how many security operatives actually read the Bible, and I believe even in the Quran or whatever you believe in, by morals you should know what you are supposed to do. So now concerned to be, what is the government doing? Because I think we are sick and tired of talking about the fact that abduction almost on a daily basis, yet we are yet to see something tangible, something that Nigerians can say, you know what, we are happy. Why? Because our government were able to conquer this territory that have been taken over by these bandits. Until our government are ready to do this, Rachel, I mean, I'm sorry to say this, we are still joking. We're
We are
still
really
playing.
are too
And
concerned.
unless we are ready for business, I think these things will keep going on unless our president, our state governors, our local government chairmen are ready to take the bull by the horn and do the right thing.
Let the government stop condemning the act and condemn the people. When you condemn the act, it's just word of mouth. But when you condemn the act, you are destroying the people in it. And by destroying the people in it, is by letting them know they can't get away with it. We are yet to see an example being made of these terrorists in this country. We are yet to see. All we see is these criminals being treated with baby hands and even given more advantage in the society than the people that they have harmed and destroyed their lives and property. And until an example is being made of them, we will just keep seeing this thing resurfacing because it looks like you can get away with it, and they have been getting away with it. And Sele, is because they have been getting away with it, that is why it has been increasing. That is the reason why, you know what, tomorrow there will be another kidnapping.
But then I just hope, just like you made mention of the fact that we just hope that the right thing will be done eventually. Because this is something that when you start talking about it, you get emotional. But I just hope that we don't get too emotional, but let the leaders get emotional by all this and then do right by us. But Rachel, thank you so much for doing this with me. And also thank you to our viewers. Thank you also to our supporters for keeping another time with us on Nigeria Now. Until we come your way tomorrow, please do have a blessed day ahead.